Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Spellslinger, and today I am bringing you a post-Dawn of Majesty Stardust Synchron Turbo deck profile. This deck profile is going to be pretty in-depth. Most of my deck profiles are pretty in-depth, but for this one I'm going to be going pretty in-depth, and for that reason the video is going to be a little bit longer. So with the test hands that I normally do for my deck profiles, I'm going to have it in a separate video that will be out tomorrow. But if you're watching this in the future, then it'll already be posted, and I will link it with the little information up in the top right, so you can just go straight to that after you're done watching it here. There are some really unique combos that you can do with this, and I will explain all of my different choices and techs within the deck and for what reasons I have them at the certain numbers that I do. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. But before we get into that real quick, I have a little bit of a disturbing analytic that I keep seeing in my videos, and I'll have that popped up right here. Only 3% of you are actually subscribed that watch my content, so if you guys could do me a huge solid, hit the subscribe button. I definitely want to see an improvement in that statistic right there. It's a little depressing, so hopefully we can get that number up going forward. Gonna have lots more deck profiles, talks, discussions, product openings going into the future, so if you're interested in any of that or like what I do, please do me a favor, support me hitting that subscribe button, hitting the subscribe button, hitting that thumbs up button. It means the world to me. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so we'll go ahead and get started with the main deck, and the first three of that we are going to be playing is, of course, the Junk Synchron. You want to see this in your opening hand, you want to see it as much as possible. It's one of the main ways that you get your main combo started. When it's normal summon, target a level 2 or lower monster in your graveyard, and special summon the target in defense position with its effects negated. The main combo that you're going to be going into is Synchro summoning into Junk Speeder, and you need a Syncron monster for that summon. So Junk Speeder is the main way that you're going to be accessing that. There are other ways in the deck, but that's going to be the main way. So you want to see that as much as possible. Three of that we are playing is the new support out of Dawn of Majesty. It is Stardust Synchron. We play a lot of the different leveled Synchron monsters at 2 and 3. Reason being is because if you happen to draw one of them in your opening hand, then your Junk Speeder play will automatically be offline because it summons from deck specifically. It doesn't summon from hand. So if you have if you just have a lot of your different leveled Synchron monsters at 1, and you just play them at 1 and you draw them in your opening hand, or you mill them off of something like tuning, then your play is automatically going to be offline. So we bump the number of different leveled Synchron monsters up a little bit just as an insurance policy, and there are different things that we can do with that. But getting back to Stardust Synchron, if it is in your hand or graveyard, contribute a monster and then special summon it from the hand or graveyard. Then if it's summoned, you can add a spell or trap from your deck to your hand that specifically lists Stardust Dragon in its text. Both of those are really important for the main combo, and the reason that we play 3 Stardust Synchron is because we send 1 off of Excel Synchron. So it's the same kind of deal with for the reason that I was talking about with the other different leveled. We play two of the different leveled. We play 3 Stardust Synchron specifically because we need 1 for the Junk Speeder play, and we need 1 for the Excel Synchron, specifically from deck. So if we open 1 of them, it's totally fine. If we open 2 of them, it's disastrous, and we can't really do what we want to do, and we'll have to find different ways of getting around that. But we want to see most of these just in the deck. Most of the time we just don't want to draw them. We want to open Searchers, Junk Synchron, Junk Converter, stuff like that. But we play 3 just as an insurance policy, and it is an integral part of the combo. So we play that at 3. Next, for our level 2 Synchron monsters, we play one Satellite Synchron and we play one Fluor Synchron. The Satellite Synchron specifically is more so we just use it for the name and the level, so we can have, it's just a target off of Junk Speeder, and its effect doesn't come up too often, but it can. The main one that you'll be using is if a monster is special summoned from the graveyard, you can special summon Satellite Synchron from the hand. And the other effect of it is that you can make its level become 4 if you have a specific Synchro monster on the field or in the graveyard. And then for Fluor Synchron, it's the better of the two if you are drawing different combo pieces in your opening hand. If Fluor Synchron is sent to the graveyard as Synchro material, you can special summon a level 2 or lower monster from your hand. Fluor Synchron is super important. That's why we don't run just 2 Satellite Synchron, is because Satellite Synchron and Fluor Synchron both have applications specifically for their effects if you draw specific things in your opening hand that you don't want to see. So either or can be targets for Junk Speeder if you open specific things, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but those are our level 2 Synchron monsters that we play. And the last of the Synchron monsters, we play 2 Cyber Synchron, and this is going to be our level 1. So Cyber Synchron with its level 1, its effect is really good. Once per turn, you can target one level 4 lower monster you control and increase its level by its original level until the end of the turn. So that's the main way you're going to be using it. If you don't open your main way to get into your Junk Speeder, which is going to be Junk Synchron, if you don't open that, but you have Cyber Synchron and another card that I'll be showing here in a little bit, that being Caligo Clawcrow, then you can just increase Cyber Synchron's level. You can increase the Caligo Clawcrow, make that a 4. Your Cyber Synchron is a 1, and then just tune straight into your Junk Speeder, and then you can go from there. You won't be able to combo as well as you would with your Junk Synchron, but it's just another way to be able to get into your play. And if it comes up during the test hands, then I'll showcase that a little bit more in depth. We play one Converging Dragon. It is super integral to the combo. It's another new piece of support out of Dawn of Majesty. It is a Dragon Tuner. It's a level 1, can't be used as Synchro material except for the Synchro Summon of a Majestic monster, and that's all we use it for. But it also adds and gets us combo pieces for the rest of the way. The name becomes Majestic Dragon while on the field or in the graveyard. So if you draw the card, then you can special summon it. And then if you control a level 8 or higher Dragon Synchro monster, you can special summon a level 1 Dragon from your deck. You only use that once per turn. And the monster that you'll be summoning off of that is going to be the Omni Dragon Brotar. And I will get into that in a little bit, but Converging Dragon, super important for your plays. Definitely only need the 1 though. Alright, so getting into the non-Synchro monsters, we are playing Junk Converter. This, along with your Junk Synchron, these guys are going to be your main way that you access your main combo. So Junk Converter, basically what it lets you do, super important, is that you can discard Junk Converter and another tuner. It can be any tuner, and then add a Synchron monster from your deck to your hand. So the main combo that you'll do, just as an example, let's say you open Junk Converter and Junk Synchron, discard both of them, and then you can add a Junk Synchron from your deck to your hand. You normal summon the Junk Synchron, and then target the Junk Converter in graveyard, special summon it, and then you have your material to go into your extra deck place. And that's the main way that you're going to be going into that play. Super helpful, it's good. And then the secondary effect of the Junk Converter is also super important. If this card is sent to the graveyard as Synchro material, you can target one tuner in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position, but it cannot activate its effects this turn. You can only use each effect once per turn. So that's just another way of getting extending the main combo, and I'll definitely be showcasing that in the test hand. So definitely, be on the lookout for that video when it drops tomorrow, or again, if you're watching this in the future, I'll have a link to it in the description, as well as the little information in the top right hand corner that'll pop up right now. Playing 3 Caligo Claw Crow. Its effect is super simple, but if you control a dark monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Caligo Claw Crow once per turn this way. And the main way that we are going to be utilizing that effect is if we control the Cyber Synchron, which is a dark monster, we can special summon the Caligo Claw Crow, use the Cyber Synchron's effect to double the Caligo Claw Crow's level. You have a 4 and you have a 1, that's 5, you have the tuner, and then you go straight into your junk speeder plays. So it's the Claw Crow, in my opinion, is better than the other option that you can play, which is the Synchron Carrier. Some people opt to play Synchron Carrier over the Caligo Claw Crow. The reason that I don't is because if the Synchron Carrier's effects are negated in any way before you attempt to get the extra normal summon that Synchron Carrier gives you, then you won't be able to. But because Caligo Claw Crow activates in hand, they won't be able to they won't be able to negate the effect. They won't have the opportunity to negate the effect unless they are directly doing something with the effect that's activating in the hand. So I prefer playing the Claw Crow over the Synchron Carrier, but it's really up to you. They both accomplish the same thing. It's just how you go about it that may differ from player to player, but that's how I prefer to play it. Next, a super important piece, we have Doppel Warrior. Doppel Warrior, if a monster is special summoned from the graveyard, you can special summon Doppel Warrior. We use the secondary effects 2 times during the main combo, and is that if it's used for the special summon of a Synchro monster, you get 2 Doppel Warrior tokens. They're level 1, 400 and 400 Dark Warriors, and they have to be special summoned in attack position, unfortunately, but it's just good. It lets you extend super far. It lets you go into your plays and set up your big boards, and I will definitely be showcasing. A lot of this is just me saying that I will showcase it, but I will. Trust me, definitely be on the lookout for the test hands video. As alluded to earlier, we are playing 1 Omni Dragon Brotar. It is really, really good. The main effect that we are going to be using is that when it's summoned, you can target a monster on the field and then add to your hand 1 monster with the same typing as that targeted card. And the way that we're going to be using that is we're going to be special summoning the Omni Dragon Brotar off of the Wills Converging, or the Converging Wills Dragon, and then you'll have a Junk Synchron on the field. So you'll target the Junk Synchron, you'll discard a card, and then add Doppel Warrior. But there's just so many things that we can do with that, but that is just the main way that you will be using it. And then the first effect is that if a monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effects, you can special summon this card from the graveyard or the hand, and then activate the effect. But this card is going to be special summoned from the deck off of Converging Wills Dragon, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. It doesn't come up too often, but we're just going to be using the secondary effect more than anything. Alright, so getting into spells, we play 3 Tuning. Super simple effect: add a Synchron Tuner monster from your deck to your hand, then send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. And for that reason specifically, that's why we play multiple of each different leveled Synchron monster. So in case we end up milling one from the deck, we still have one to summon off of the Junk Speeder effect. It doesn't happen too often where you end up with one in your hand and one in the graveyard, but it does happen. So for that reason, we run the up to number of monsters in the main deck, just as an insurance policy, like I was saying earlier. But The main monster you're going to be searching off of this is, of course, the Junk Synchron. The Junk Synchron, like I'm saying, it really is probably the most important card in the deck, if not the Junk Converter. Both of those cards you need to see in your opening hand to get the full combo that you want, but tuning is just a way to facilitate getting that in your opening hand. So always play 3 tuning. It's a super good card, and not really too much else to say about that. The next 3 of spell we are playing is going to be Living Fossil. We play Living Fossil, activate this card by targeting a level 4 or lower monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and then equip it with this card, but banish it when it leaves the field, even if this card has left the field. And then when this card leaves the field, banish the equipped monster, and then the equipped monster loses 1,000 attack and defense, and its effects are negated, and you can only use 1 Living Fossil per turn. We play 3. We search it off of Power Tool Dragon. We search it off of Power Tool Dragon from the extra, and so it's not a huge deal if you draw it in your opening hand. You can just skip that step of the combo. But we play 3 so we can search it off of the Power Tool Dragon. It's just an extension, but it is a necessary extension, so you need to play it. You play 3 because you have to. If you could play it at less, then you would, but because you have to specifically play 3 for Power Tool Dragon's effect, you play 3. Pretty self-explanatory there. 3 Living Fossil. Now for some 1-ofs, we have 1 Arriving Light. It is another one of the new Stardust Synchron support cards that was released in Dawn of Majesty. Another really integral part of the combo. When this card is activated, place 1 level 1 dragon monster from your hand or deck on top of the deck. Neither player can return Stardust Dragon or Synchro monsters that list Stardust Dragon in its text from the field to the extra deck. If a Synchro monster is special summoned, except during the damage step, you can apply one of these effects, but you cannot apply that same effect of Arriving Light again this turn, and that's either draw 1 card or special summon 1 tuner from your hand. So of course, the level 1 monster that we are going to be placing on top of the deck is going to be the Converging Dragon. And then when we're going through the main combo, you use the effect to draw a card. You'll draw the Will's Converging Dragon, special summon it, and then use its effect to special summon Brotar, use Brotar's effect to target the Junk Synchron, and then add the Doppel Warrior. So it's a really cool way to facilitate a whole bunch of stuff. And while it doesn't come up too often, the secondary effect to special summon a tuner from your hand does come up sometimes, so we use that effect as well. The card is really good. We don't need to see it a whole lot because it is searchable off of the Stardust Synchron card when it's special summoned. You can just add it from deck to hand. So it is searchable, so we don't need to play any more than 1, but definitely play the 1 so we can facilitate the Converging Dragon plays. Alright, and then a bunch of power 1-ofs. We play 1 Called by the Grave. This deck is so susceptible to hand traps that we need to play around it as much as possible. We play 1 Reinforcement of the Army. It searches either your Junk Synchron or your Junk Converter, so you're playing an extra copy of those. 1 Foolish Burial for sending, most of the time you're just going to be sending a Junk Converter to the graveyard, or just any level 2, so that you can go into your Synchro plays with Junk Synchron, and then 1 of the Monster Reborn. You don't if you're getting real desperate for it, you can send a Foolish Burial for something else, reborn it immediately. There's a whole bunch of ways this deck can brick, but there are a lot of ways to go into your plays, which is really cool. So we just play a bunch of these 1-ofs to help facilitate the combo in as many ways as we can. Going into the traps, we have 1 Majestic Mirage. It is another one of the new support cards released in Dawn of Majesty. It's really good. It helps keep your negates on board. So if a face-up card you control leaves the field by your card effect, or to activate the effect of your card, and the card that left the field was Stardust Dragon or a Synchro monster that lists Stardust Dragon in its text, you can apply one of the following effects, but you cannot apply the same effect of Majestic Mirage again this turn. And those effects are special summon one of those monsters, banish one monster from your opponent's field or graveyard. Any damage you take this turn is halved. We are just going to be using, 99% of the time, we are just going to be using the first effect to special summon one of those monsters, and we are going to be using that with shooting Majestic Star Dragon, because its effect to negate means that you have to banish it. So that would trigger the Majestic Mirage to special summon that monster back. So you would use the effect to negate, banish it, use the effect of Majestic Mirage to bring it right back, and then your negate is back online. So it's a really good way to help facilitate those plays as well, which is really cool. We play one Imperial Order. While you're setting up your board, you will probably come across this. And going into just a lot of different negates, we can go into hand traps with this. We play 2 Ash Blossom, we play 2 Ghost Ogre, and we play 3 Infinite Impermanence, as well as the 1 Imperial Order. And the reason why we play so many, I know a lot of people are not super into the idea of playing a lot of hand traps with this deck, but let me give you the reason why. The reason why we play so many hand traps, we play these because they are tuners and we can send them off of Junk Converter. That is super important. We play a lot of interruption and things like that, for the main reason being we have to be able to stop our opponent if we brick, and we play a lot of interruption in the deck because if the deck bricks, we want to be able to make sure that we can play next turn and that we won't get OTK'd that turn. So we play a lot of interruption for that reason. If we don't see anything in our opening hand, odds are we see one of these, and that is a way to stop our opponent. IO, just negate all spell cards. And while we do play a lot of spell cards, if we go first and we brick, we see IO, we see any of these hand traps, and we successfully stop them on their turn, they pass it back to us on turn 3. Even if we have IO up, we can still go into junk speeder plays very easily without the use of the spell cards. So we can still go into, we won't be able to go full combo because the combo does require spell cards, but we will be able to go into enough material and enough monsters to successfully OTK and to successfully do what we need to do going second. So for that reason, that is why we play so much interruption through hand traps and stuff like that. I know a lot of you aren't gonna like it, but that is the reason, and I will go through during the test hands video. I will show you what we draw and like how the deck interacts with like brick hands and really good hands and everything in between. But trust me when I say we need this kind of interruption if the deck bricks, because it definitely can. The last thing that I'll say regarding hand traps before we get into the extra deck is that you are able to swap these out. These aren't mainstays as far as hand traps go. You can swap out the ghost spells for Drolls, Lancias, or whatever. You can just have them in the side deck ready to go. These are just the ones that I have out right now, but they are interchangeable for whatever you'd like. We play 3 Imperm because it's not a once per turn, and you can set them if you're going first, or you can just activate them if your opponent's going first. And then we play 2 each of these because if we do need to pitch one of them off of the effect of Junk Converter, we draw a lot through TG Hyper Librarian that we may see them again. I've done a lot of testing, a lot of test hands with this deck specifically, and it works out very, very, very well. So for that, for all of the reasons that I just stated, that's why I have these ratios at where they are. These are once per turns, and then Imperm is not, so that's why we have that at 3. Just more negates, 1 IO. It's at 1, so we only play the 1. But yeah, so we have those hand traps there. We'll go ahead and get into the extra deck now. So getting into the extra deck, this version of the deck heavily relies and is packed full of the combo pieces. So there's not a whole lot of room to interchange things. You can probably take out one, maybe two things if you want to play something different, but almost every single piece of the extra deck is used throughout the main combo. And it will be, I will be sure to show and go into detail about all of that in the test hands video. But I do want to preface that with this extra deck, there's not a whole lot of room to take things out with this specific combo. But we'll go ahead and get into everything now. So starting things out, we play one Celestial Double Star Shaman, generic synchro, but it is also a tuner. When this card is special summoned, you can special summon up to 4 level 2 non-tuners from your hand and or graveyard in defense position, but they have their effects negated. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except for synchro monsters, and you can only use the effect once per turn. The 2 monsters for the main combo that we're going to be bringing back from the graveyard is going to be the Junk Converter and the Doppel Warrior. We want to be able to get a Doppel Warrior's effect multiple times throughout the course of the combo, so we use this to facilitate that from the graveyard. And then we use the fact that it's a tuner for a really big synchro boss monster, and the fact that it locks you into synchros is not a big deal at all. The entire extra deck is synchro monsters, so you don't have to worry about that. The next monster we play is Martial Metal Marcher. It is also it's a generic synchro, but it's also again a tuner. If this card is synchro summoned, you can target 1 tuner in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position, but it can negate its effects. You can only use the effect of Martial Metal Marcher once per turn. A synchro monster that was used for this card's material is treated as a tuner while face up on the field. That effect doesn't really matter too much. We are going to be, for the main combo, we're going to be using the effect to bring back the Celestial Star Shaman. Just another piece, and everything will make a lot more sense what I'm saying during the test hands. So we play one of this, just more combos. The most seemingly out of place thing that we play is Assault Blackwing, Sahoya the Rainstorm. It's kind of funny, we're not playing a Blackwing deck, we're not doing anything like that, but as it turns out, Sahoya the Rainstorm acts as a stupid good extender. It's they're generic level 5s, and basically if one of them is synchro summoned while the other one is in the graveyard, you can special summon the other one from the graveyard. And then if they are both in the graveyard, you can banish one and special summon the other. So it's just free bodies, and you naturally go into them over the course of the combo. So it's really, really good. Both of them are necessary. It does take up a couple slots, but for the extension that they give you, I'd say that it's well worth it. So we play 2 of them. The next one, we have Excel Synchron. It is a level 5, again, just generic level 5 that happens to be a tuner, but is very important again to the main combo. You can, once per turn, send a Synchron monster from your deck to the graveyard, then activate one of these effects, increase this card's level by the level of the sent monster, or decrease its level. And then you can synchro summon on your opponent's turn with this card, and that is super important for the Satellite Warrior that we play. So for the main combo, we're going to be sending the Stardust Synchron, and that's why we want to that's why we want to play 3 copies of the Satellite Synchron, is that we need to send a level 4 to reduce it to 1, so that we can synchro into Celestial Star Shaman, get our resources back, and continue from there. But that's why we play 3 of the Stardust Synchron, is because we need 1 for the Junk Speeder and 1 for Excel Synchron, so that leaves room for 1 to be drawn in the opening hand, which can happen since we're playing 3 of it. So 1 Excel Synchron, we play 1 TG Hyper Librarian. Hyper Librarian is very, I say this for every single monster, but it is super important. Every single monster in the extra deck is super important. It's a generic level 5, and if a monster is synchro summoned, you draw 1 card. This monster has to be face up on the field to resolve the effect, but this helps you draw into hand traps. It helps you draw into more combo pieces if you didn't open everything that you needed to in your opening hand. It facilitates more plays, it facilitates interruption, it facilitates everything that you need. So you play 1 TG Hyper Librarian. I'm sure if this card was not limited to 1, then we would find more ways to play it at 2 or 3, but Hyper Librarian is kind of busted, so we play it at 1. The next monster we are playing, the main facilitator of the deck, is Junk Speeder. This is your most important extra deck monster. It starts your plays and it also ends your plays. If Junk Speeder gets touched in any way by any kind of interruption, your play is basically dead, and there's not a whole lot of recovering that you can do. So that's why we play a lot of interruption, and that's why we play Called by the Grave. And then if you don't have it, you cross your fingers and you hope that Junk Speeder doesn't get touched, because like I said, if Junk Speeder gets touched in any way, then your play is dead. You can't do anything. But what Junk Speeder does, you have to have specifically a Synchron tuner and a non-tuner monster to summon it. So it's a little bit more specific, but that's why we play so many different Synchron monsters in the deck. If this card is synchro summoned, you can special summon as many Synchron tuners as possible with different levels from your extra deck in defense position, and you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except synchro monsters the turn that you activate this effect. I mean, it has another effect where if there's an attack declared involving this card the turn that it was summoned, you can double its attack, but you'll most of the time never have to do that. The main effect, just to special summon the stuff from the deck, is what you want. And unfortunately, Imperm, Ash, anything like that will hamper it. It is very susceptible to hand traps, and if it is touched, you're kind of out of luck. But Junk Speeder is your main way that you're going to be getting into stuff. It summons a total of 4 monsters. It summons the Stardust Synchron, the Junk Synchron, the Cyber Synchron, and then depending on your opening hand, it summons the Satellite Synchron or the Fluor Synchron. It summons everything that you need to combo off. So do what you can to protect it, and do what you can to make sure that Junk Speeder's effect resolves. So you play 1 Junk Speeder. Play 1 FA Dawn Dragster. It's a negate for spell and traps. It's generic, so it's super easy to make. It's actually not on the end board for the main the main combo that you do, but you play the 1 FA Dawn Dragster for if you can't get the full board that you want, you make sure that you still have a spell or trap negate, which is really cool. So you play 1 FA Dawn Dragster. 1 Power Tool Dragon. You make it in the main combo. It's generic, and then once per turn you can select 3 equip spells from your deck, and then your opponent picks 1 to give to your hand. That is going to be the Living Fossil. So you'll have this. Again, it's extension. It adds your extenders, and it adds your ability to add the equip spell, which allows you to extend further. Extension. This is extension the deck. And then after that, you play 1 Stardust Dragon. Imagine not playing Stardust Dragon in a Stardust Synchron deck. Wild, right? But yeah, Stardust Dragon. You don't use it for anything but the name. You can use any level 8 dragon for the effect that we're going for here, but Stardust Dragon allows you to use another one of the Majestic Shooting Star Dragon's effects, where if a Stardust Dragon is in the graveyard, it can make a second attack. So that's why we play the Stardust Dragon specifically. You go into the Power Tool Dragon, and then you synchro into the Stardust Dragon, and then you continue your plays from there. Next, we have a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. More negates. It's a 1 tuner plus 1 non-tuner synchro monster. So you're going to be using most of the time, you'll be using a 5 and a 3. So you'll be using any of your Synchro level 5 monsters and then a level 3 tuner monster. It's pretty easy to go into with the main combo, but just a monster effect and negation, which is really cool. It's a really cool part of the end board that I really like playing. We play one Satellite Warrior. It's a really cool option to go into, especially with you playing the Excel Synchron. You set up your end board with Excel Synchron and a Sahoya. So on your opponent's turn, if they establish a board, you can synchro into the Satellite Warrior and then nuke their board, because when this is special summoned, you can target cards on your opponent's side of the field up to the number of Synchro monsters in your graveyard, which will be like 6 or 7 at that point, and then destroy those cards. And then Satellite Warrior gains 1,000 attack per card destroyed. So you can get Satellite Warrior up to 4, 5, 6,000 attack, which is really good, and then just nuke their board, attack, and then just completely interrupt what they're trying to do. So we play the one Satellite Warrior. Of course, the super flashy new card, Shooting Majestic Star Dragon. You have to use Majestic Star Dragon plus a non-tuner monsters, including a Dragon Synchro monster. So, more or less, I'll give you the brief rundown of the summoning of it. You have to use the Converging Will's Dragon, and you have to use, for this deck, you have to use the Stardust Synchron. And then the other non-tuner can either be a Claw Crow or it can be a Doppel Warrior. But these two monsters, the Converging Will's Dragon and the Stardust Dragon, are you have to synchro summon Shooting Majestic Star Dragon with these two. So what does Majestic Shooting Star Dragon do? Well, on your turn, you can, once per turn, you can negate the effects of one effect monster your opponent controls. That's pretty cool. This card gains 1 additional attack for each battle phase for every monster in your graveyard that is a Stardust Dragon or a Synchro monster with Stardust Dragon in its text. And we play the one Stardust Dragon, so it can make 2 attacks with 4,000 attack, which is kind of scary. And it's hard to get rid of. And then the main negation effect that it has, once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect, it's a quick effect, you can banish this card until the end phase, and if you do, negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card. So it's good removal as well as negation. Negate your opponent's card effects and banish it. And then, like I was saying earlier, a really cool interaction that you can do with Majestic Mirage. If you have Majestic Mirage up, if your opponent activates the effect and you want to negate that card, you can use this, and then it would banish, and then that would trigger the Majestic Mirage to make it stay without banishing it, and then you get functionally another banish negation type deal. So I really like playing the Majestic Mirage with this. It's just really good. It's a Majestic, Shooting Majestic Star Dragon is a little bit tricky to bring out sometimes, but if you successfully do the main combo, you end on really good stuff, including Shooting Majestic Star Dragon. So we play the one of that, which I really like. The other big dragon that we end on is the Cosmic Blazer Dragon, Blazer, whatever the hell. It is a level 12 with 4,000 attack and defense, and you have to have 1 tuner synchro monster with 2 or more non-tuner synchro monsters. So I'll just show you what we're going to be bringing this out with. You use we use a Sahoya, we use TG Hyper Librarian, and we use the Celestial Double Star Shaman. We use these 10, 5, 10, and 12. These are non-tuners. This is the tuner. We synchro here, and we bring out the Cosmic Blazer Dragon. Now, what does Cosmic Blazer Dragon do? It must be synchro summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. You can banish this card until the end phase to activate one of these quick effects. The first one is when your opponent activates a card or effect, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. When your opponent would summon a monster, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that card. Or when your opponent's monster declares an attack, negate the attack and end the battle phase. So while Cosmic Blazer Dragon does negate your opponent's card effects, it also can negate a summon, which is really cool. So your end board is full of negates, but it doesn't have an effect that negates a summon, except for Cosmic Blazer Dragon, which is really cool. So definitely a favorite of mine to play, at least. So we play one of that, and then the very last card that we play came out of Ghost from the Past. Finally got the import of Red Supernova Dragon. This is kind of if you mill off, or if you open multiple copies of a card that you can't summon with the Junk Speeder, but are still able to get Junk Speeder's effect off, then you make Red Supernova Dragon. And it's 3 tuners plus a non-tuner Synchro monster. So to me, it feels like this card was specifically made for the the Junk Speeder play. And basically, what it does, it must first be synchro summoned, which is cool. If it leaves the field, you can reborn it. And it gains 500 attack for each tuner in your graveyard, which is absolutely busted, because since you have to use 3 tuners for its synchro summon anyway, that means that it is automatically by default up to 5,500 attack, and can go up from there. I've had scenarios where I've special summoned this and then had 85, 9,000 attack. It's absolutely busted, and it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So that means the only way to out this is to banish it or to beat over it, and the banishing is gonna be the way that they're gonna have to do it, because I don't know of any card that can get well, I mean, there are cards that can get over 5,500, but the main way that meta decks are going to try is with access code. And access code, for the most part, can only get up to 5,300 unless they link summon it with a link 4, but then they'd have to expend so many resources to do that. But Red Supernova Dragon's protection is kind of crazy. Once per turn, when your opponent's monster effect is activated, or when your opponent's monster declares an attack, quick effect, you can activate this effect. Banish this card. Also banish all cards your opponents control, and then once per turn during the end phase, after this card was banished by its own effect, special summon the banished card. So it's a field nuke, but it's a banishing field nuke for your opponent's side, and then the cost is, of course, just banishing the Red Supernova Dragon, but you get it back during the end phase of the next turn. Super good card if you think that you won't be able to get off your normal plays. But I'll say this deck is nuts. The amount of things that you go into, and the amount of negates that it can put up. I'll show you what your end board can look like. You have your Shooting Majestic Star in your Shooting Majestic Star in your extra monster zone. You have your Cosmic Blazer Dragon. You have your Crystal Wing Dragon, and then you have your field nuke set up with Sohoya and Excel Synchron, which will let you go into the Satellite Warrior on your opponent's turn and basically just blow it up. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then a field nuke on your opponent's turn. So I doubt that your opponent will be able to play through that. And then if you have the Majestic Mirage, if you have any hand traps, if you have IO, if you have the Imperms, if you have literally anything, this deck is so hard to play against if the combo goes through. And while that is a big if, it can and will happen. So that wraps up the deck profile. Again, like I was saying, I will be posting the test hands video tomorrow because this video was so in depth. But yeah, that wraps up the deck profile, the main and the extra deck. Be on the lookout for the test hands video that's going to be up. I'll have a link to it in the upper right hand corner if it is out. If it's not, it'll be out tomorrow. And yeah, be sure to be on the lookout for that. And like I said at the beginning of the video, only 3% of you are subscribed. It would mean the world to me if you guys would do me a solid, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, help me out in any way you can. Tell me what your thoughts are on the deck. If you have any decks that you would like to see showcased coming up, let me know. If you have any changes that you would make, like, or anything that you specifically run, or a different version of the deck, I'd love to hear that too. I know that there are a lot of different ways to play this deck. A lot of people play the Black Garden version with like Psyframe, the Trishula, and the Garden Rose Maiden. Stardust Charge Warrior is also a really good one to throw in there as well. But yeah, there are a lot of different ways to play this deck. This is just the way that I choose to play it, and I have so much fun with it. And I know you guys will too. So thanks for sticking around. Thanks for hanging out. Hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, comment, do all the cliche stuff every YouTuber tells you to do. I will see you guys tomorrow with the deck, with the test hands video, or I will have it linked up in the top right-hand corner. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I will see you soon. Bye.